everyone. It is Rory and Tim and Rosie and Lewis and Helen from that Eurovision side. And wow, second rehearsals for the big five and second rehearsals in general have just finished. So the only thing to do for us now is basically just to react to what we've seen and sort of have a nice little conversation about it. So we might as well just sort of like jump in. So today we saw the rehearsals from the big five. So that is Italy, who are the host country, obviously, plus France, Spain, UK, and Germany. So let's just get things started. So out of all of the ones from today, who are your standouts from today's rehearsals?
I'll start this off, and people are going to completely think I'm biased, but the UK, like the UK, like I'm not ready for this. Like I'm blown away. The first run through, like we knew that he wasn't giving it his whole, but like as the run throughs got better, because obviously they have to keep it for the third run through. That's the definitive footage in case, knock on wood, like something happens. And my God, I was just shivers, screaming left, right, and center. But yeah, that was a standout one for me. It's like we've been waiting for so long, and I'm so happy. You have no idea as a Brit, like. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I've got to say the UK as well, and I'm trying very hard to temper my expectations on this because it is very, very rarely I have ever been able to feel enthused about my country in my almost 20 years of being a Eurovision fan at this point. And this gave me such an incredible feeling watching it. And Sam is the most charismatic, amiable, wonderful performer. He's got such an energy to him on stage, and then what they've done around him is so incredibly clever. It really works for the song without being too literal or uncomfortable or sort of on the nose. I think they've got it just right on this one. And the other one I'm going to say, because I was a little nervous about what we were going to be expecting from them, given the staging in the national final, but they've taken it and they've elevated it, is France. I'm so happy with what they've done from Fulen, and the way that they have staged it is going to stand out wonderfully amongst the rest of the show and the performance. The colours of this staging look stunning, with the green foresty light and the fire pits around the stage. It's beautiful. And in the first run through there were a few issues in terms of the mixing of the vocals, but they've really ironed that out in the last few rehearsals. So I'm really happy to see a song that I already loved transform so well onto the Eurovision stage.
Does it count if all five are standouts? Can that work? No, honestly, I'm gonna pick something else, and my standout was Germany. I was really worried going in. I've liked Germany for quite a while, but I was wondering how they were going to translate it to the stage. It just felt like a song where the only thing they could really do it's a dark room, and there's one guy playing piano, and then maybe he stands up at some point and like, hey! But they absolutely blew me away with how they did it. They sort of really preserved the sensitivity and the authenticity of the song while actually putting on a show. And I'm amazed, and I love it. And I'm really glad to see that now other people are starting to love Germany. And also, yes, the UK, like, oh my God, we actually stand a chance. Like, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's such a weird feeling. But that is a performance that if I'd seen it from any country, I would be excited. But the fact that it comes from a country that I'd sort of given up hope on, I mean, yeah, it was incredible.
Oh my God. Yeah, as I say, I'm literally, as I'm hearing you all talk about the UK, I'm about to cry, because if you told me this time last year that not only would we not be at the bottom of the pile, but that we were actually contender to win, I would not have believed you. But like seeing that staging and seeing Sam just give it, and just everything about it. I want to like run around my house right now and just like scream for joy. But enough about that, because we all know how great that is. Spain as well was incredible. We all more or less kind of knew what was going to happen. Like, we have the choreo that we've had for months, but they really took it to the next level in the last like minute of the song. We've got extra choreo, the costuming is on point, she is giving us vocals, we've got some added pyro. I was wondering, I'm like, how can they make this better? Because it's been so good all season, and they did it. And oh God, UK and Spain, the worst records of the Big Five over the last 10 years. And they're, in my opinion, the two best ones of the Big Five this year. How did this happen? Like, am I dreaming? Do I need to wake up?
It's great. Oh no, yeah, I completely agree with Helen here. I mean, my two favorites really were the UK and Spain. Spain, we kind of knew it was going to be good, but they've taken what they had like before and it completely elevated it to a whole new level. They've gotten rid of that kind of Chanel kind of thing, which, to be honest, like, it looked okay in Benidorm Fest, but then as she was kind of working her way through pre-party, she was still using it. So I was getting a little bit concerned that that would actually be the staging, but thank God she's managed to like completely change it. And I love the sort of colors, sort of schemes that they've got going on. I do think, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the sort of like jacket thing that she wears, but that's just like a personal thing of mine. But I think the rest of it is so slick, so amazing. She performs the hell out of that song. And I would love to just be able to just be there and be like, watch as she gets to like the top 10, top 5, and everyone just like loses their shit, basically. And then, of course, I mean, it's literally sounding like a broken record, really, but like the UK is just so good. Like, genuinely, I've never been this so enthused about a song from the UK. I think the last time might have been 2014, and that, look how well that worked out. I mean, it was pretty good for the time, I guess, 17th place, but when you actually have a chance of getting into the top 10, potentially top 5, honestly, I mean, who could say no to that, you know? And Sam's voice, angelic, that like he changes it up towards the last 20 seconds of the song with a guitar solo, and he just lets loose vocally. It's like raspy rock voice. It gives you goosebumps, really, and it's so good. Like, I'm actually scared for like what people who aren't into Eurovision will think if the UK actually wins, because it's this whole mentality, isn't there? It's like, oh, UK is never going to win. Well, what if you do win? What's going to happen now, you know? So who knows? Turning it on its head, though, what are some of the countries, if any, that you might have been a little bit underwhelmed by in today's rehearsals?
Oh, I can be upfront about this, and it breaks my heart to say this. Italy. Like, look, I understand that you have prior commitments before Eurovision. Like, you've been touring all around. Like, Mahmood was in London earlier this week. Like, look, the San Remo performance was great, but when it got to here, they're a bit tired. They need to rest up. Like, vocally, I wasn't feeling the emotion that I felt when I was watching the San Remo performance, but I think that's just due to tiredness. So I think for me, I need them to rest up. They've got less than a week until the big thing, and they're gonna have what? They're gonna do the rehearsal on Monday because they're gonna share that on Tuesday. So obviously needing to be in tip-top shape for that, because it's a preview and, like, you know, might turn heads a bit. So that's the only thing underwhelming. Nothing against the song, nothing against the staging. It's just, I think they were just having a bad day. But yeah, that's what underwhelmed me a bit.
I think it says a lot that when we went through the countries that were the standouts for us, that Italy was the one that no one mentioned. Every other country got some love, and I think it is very similar to Tim in that we've seen how good this song can be live, and we just haven't seen that today. Some of it is very much the vocals. Both of them are sounding very tired. Blanco especially, I think, was really struggling today. And again, we know both of them can sing beautifully live. It's why they did so well in San Remo. I think for me as well, the staging was a little odd. It kind of grew on me as we went through from the first rehearsal to the third rehearsal. I thought at first it felt quite cold. It felt quite sort of harsh. As the sort of camera angles changed up and things like that, it started to make a little bit more sense and it became much more intimate and much more lovely. I think it possibly could benefit from a little bit more warmth to it, because right now it does still feel a little cold, and I worry that viewers who are seeing it for the first time are going to not feel that emotion that was so key to them doing so well in San Remo in the first place. And if you think back to the San Remo stage, it's this sort of beautiful warm light, and it's lovely, and it really works for that performance. So I don't necessarily think these are things that can't be fixed. I just think today really did not show that performance off in the way we know it can be done, and we know it can be done so incredibly well.
Yeah, I mean, it has fiercely as well. I think the one thing to take away from this is it's not this is a bad song or this is bad staging. It's specifically this rehearsal did not go well for them. On this specific rehearsal, it's clear that they were kind of worn out, and they couldn't sing as well as they used to. But we know they can sing amazingly. We've seen them sing live again and again. And I'm certain that when it gets to the jury show, when it gets to the live performance, they are going to be back on tip-top form. With all that said, the staging as well, I like it. I do like the staging. I think I do disagree with that it can be a bit cold. I think it's got a sort of heavenly, angelic feel to it. It's quite a pure feel, but compared to a lot of the others, like Spain, the UK, Germany, seeing those, I went, wow, this staging lifts the song. This staging improves everything. And with Italy, I was more like, yes, this is appropriate staging for the song. It's good. It's very well done. It just doesn't lift it in the same way as some of the others. And actually, I kind of feel the same way about France. Sorry, Rosie. I think, but with France, I think it might just be they haven't changed up the staging massively from previous shows, and why would they? It was already great. So I think it might just be I'm a bit more used to it. But yeah, I didn't get the massive shock of the staging from either France or Italy.
Oh man, I hate to be the fourth person in the row to. I mean, I agree that like Italy, there's potential. It wasn't a great rehearsal today, but it's something that can be fixed, whether that's vocal rest, whether that's tweaking the cameras, getting a bit more energy. It's not completely down and out. That being said, I know that a lot of people thought that Italy might be able to do the double this year. And I think even with everything kind of tweaked, fixed, vocals on point, camera angles working, the energy up, I just think that the staging overall, especially compared to some of the other ones that we've seen just today, it is a bit underwhelming. And we know where it's placed in the running order. It'll be late in the first half, so maybe that'll do it some favors, but overall I have to say it was my most underwhelming one of the day. And I do have to agree a little bit on France. For me, France's song, it's good, it's just never quite caught me, and it's not been one of like my on repeat songs all season. Very good, great job of translating the national staging, but I don't know. Again, I think it's just in comparison to what else we've seen today. Seeing seeing the other countries really go for it. And, you know, France is very good, but I do worry about their placing.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I would just be like, France, I feel like it's like, nah, like middle of the road for me in terms of the staging, but it's not my underwhelmed or anything like that. I'm gonna again sound like a bit of a broken record and say that Italy is kind of one of them. I mean, I was never really that big of a fan of Brividi anyway, so when it came down to like the staging, I would have imagined that they would have kind of kept it somewhat similar to Sanremo, but they've just kind of, they've taken it and like they have added some extra elements, but it just seemed almost like a bit bare on stage, to be honest. It seemed like it was like they were kind of being swallowed up, which is not what they're trying to get on with, you know, of course. But it just seems like they're trying really hard to recreate this sort of really intimate moment that they were able to get in Sanremo. But I think part of that is also down to like camera angles and things like that, because I remember in Brividi in Sanremo that there was this one really specific camera angle where it's just, you had the stage and you had like all of the lights and everything around it, just pure brilliant white. And it was just them two there looking at each other. We don't really have that in this sort of staging this time around. So it's a shame, because obviously I wouldn't mind it if Italy did the double. I mean, it wouldn't be my favorite choice, but you know, I could respect it. But then it just doesn't seem to be working. So, and I also am not a big fan of that. There's added accents of sort of blue towards the end, and that also kind of doesn't really fit in with what the whole kind of vibe of the song is trying to be as well. That's just my personal opinion. The other song that I'm a little bit kind of underwhelmed by, and I'm very sorry to Lewis about this, but it's Germany. I just can't really get behind this. There's just, it's so inoffensive that it is offensive, if you know what I mean. It's not offensive in a bad way. It's just, there's just nothing there that keeps me going, if you know what I mean. And I get honestly just a bit bored. And like they're doing their very best to sort of make the song like stand out a lot more. And like when I say like they've taken stuff from Germany 12 points and like made it better, like there's no denying that, like they have like done their best to like bring it to a new level. But when it's already down like this, it's just never really going to get that great, is it? So yeah, so that's not really one I'm particularly too excited about. But yeah, so obviously in our sort of semi-final predictions, we would sort of say, oh, who are your sort of sure qualifiers? And if you gave anyone a pass to the final, who would it be? But because these are automatic qualifiers who already have a pass to the final, they don't need to qualify. So let's switch it up a little bit. I want to hear an actual number, okay? Where would you like to see each of the 5 countries end up on the scoreboard? Where do you think their predictions will be?
Are we doing where we'd like them to be or where we think they're going to be?
I would say think.
Okay.
Ooh. Let me get the list up again.
So I'm going to say, I think that France will probably end on the lower left-hand side of the scoreboard. I think I could see that around about 11th, 12th. I think that Italy, if they polish up their vocals, will possibly end sort of the lower half of the top 10. I could see them around 7th or 8th. Spain, I think she's going to be around about 5th. The UK, I could see similarly around 5th. And I think Germany, I could see, this again very much depends on what's going to be around it in the final and what songs are going to make it through, because I think it's competing in the same sort of category as maybe something like Nethay Candy's song. It's going for that sort of warm, intimate vibe. So I think if someone like Iceland makes it through, I think that's possibly going to hurt Germany a little bit. So I think I'm going to suggest that Germany's possibly coming around 23rd, and we'll see who qualifies.
Ooh,
That's
all right.
hard.
Okay. Yeah, that is harsh. Okay, I'm gonna be even a bit harsher, I think.
Oh no.
Okay, France. This is depending on what's around. I see them at the top of the second on the right hand side. So around 13th, 14th. So bottom left and then top right. Italy, I can see them about 8th, 9th. Luckily enough, their order. 8th or 9th. That depends as well, because we were talking about this with Ben earlier on. If Achille Lauro comes in, you're gonna split the Italian vote. The UK, I don't know if this is my personal bias coming in, but I really want this to come top 4. But Germany, part 15th to 18th, I'd say. And Spain, I'd be surprised I'd be surprised if she's not in the top 5.
Okay, I was gonna say Germany 15th, but the longer I've sat here, the more I've thought about it, and I'm actually gonna go a bit bold. I'm gonna say Germany 8th to 9th.
Oh.
I think if there's one thing that's come out of this rehearsal and chatting to everyone, it's that Germany is a song that some people love and some people really, really don't like. And I actually think that puts it in a really good position. What you don't want, which we saw with UK last year, is a song that's everyone's 11th. It's a song that when it comes on, it's like, oh yeah, that's nice. And what you want is a song that a few people, hopefully a large number of few people, but that some people just absolutely love, that some people are going to go, yeah, that is the song I want to win. That is the song I'm voting for. That is the song I'm giving myself points. And I think that Germany actually has a decent shot at that. But it may be wishful thinking. No, let me rephrase. It is wishful thinking. What can I say? I'm wishful.
Oh God.
Regarding the others, I would say UK probably the highest. That I would say actually sort of 3rd or 4th. I think it's just an amazing staging, and something that we haven't really brought up is that it really calls back to sort of classic Eurovision staging of sort of 70s and 80s, the real golden years for the UK, thinking about it. And yeah, I think that sort of callback is going to get a lot of people on their side, and I think that's going to end up in a lot of points. And also, have you heard Sam Ryder? Like, my God, that man can sing. Yeah, and Italy. You know how I said that you don't want a song that everyone kind of likes? I actually think Riverdale is a song that a lot of people kind of like. I'm actually going to put it down sort of 16th, 17th. Yeah, I think I don't think it stands out. It might just be it's not a song that's connected with me personally, but I've been hearing that a lot. I think with an emotional ballad like that, you want a song that hits you right in the heart, like Saudade from this year. And I haven't got that from Riverdale, and I've been hearing the same things from other people. So I think it's actually going to come a little lower than people think. And Spain, I would say probably around 6th or 7th. It's by far the best version of that song in the contest. It's by far the best version of that song that we've seen for 3 or 4 years at this point. I think it's gonna do really well because of that. And Fulan, 11th to 12th. I think it's maybe a little too obscure, a little too wild for the top 10, but I think enough people are gonna like it to push it up.
So I've put down like cold hard numbers and my reasoning for each one. So UK, I'm gonna say 2nd. I'm gonna say runner up, extend our record. I think it has the potential to win the jury, but I think it might be a bit like John's Tears last year, may not get the televote that it needs to get it all. Spain, I'm going to say 4th, kind of on the opposite spectrum of that. I think it has great televote potential, but we'll see what juries think. Germany, I'm sorry, Lewis, I'm going to have to put it 20th. I think for reasons, just because it's like, if it's a song that you really like, but it's not in your top 10, like, well, only the top 10 get points. So, you know, if it's your 11th and it's 11th across the board, then that's just unfortunate. So I see it coming 20th. Italy, I'm going to say 15th. I don't, they could fix their vocals, but there is that possibility that they might be tired on Saturday or on Friday. I think more importantly, if they're not good in the jury show, if they haven't got it together then that's going to put them in trouble. France, I have 12th. I think enough people will like it. I think it'll just finish just outside that top 10 there, but do very well for them. So there's that.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's one of those songs that it's just very like unsure of like where it could go. It could easily be up in like the top 10, or it also could just be like last. You just don't know. Myself, I put France like 11th, so I think it's just going to miss out on the top 10. I think it's like, it's a strong enough song with really impactful staging, and I think that it will appeal for the whole sense of like, ooh, this is kooky, because I mean, some people just like to think of things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if France kind of came 11th or something, or maybe 12th, or maybe 10th. I don't know, but 11th is primarily where it is for me. Italy, I would say 9th. I think it's going to be, it'll do well, but it won't do as well as everyone else thinks it will. So it'll obviously get sort of accusations of like, oh, it was robbed, you know, like it should have been Brevity, but like, depending on how they get their staging together and if they get their vocals together, then we can actually say, okay, then we can say if they put on a good show. So we will see how well that works out. Spain, I would like to think will come 3rd. I think it's going to be one that, you know, the dance routine is easily going to stick in people's heads. And not to mention, let's be perfectly honest here, the straights are going to love her because she's oozing sex appeal. Like, you know, it worked for Calamira. Why can't it work for her? You know? And not to mention as well, she's just a really competent performer. And like, for some people, the song might not be that great, but the performance takes it to a whole other level. And I think that's what will generate televotes. Germany, I think, will come like 19th, I think. It'll just miss out on the bottom 5, which is good. But there needs to be something going on with ARD, please. Just like change your goddamn like strategy to this goddamn contest. And then UK is the hardest one to predict because, again, it could go anywhere on the stage. I'm going to cautiously say 6th place. I think 6th will be the kind of place where I think it'll like fall. It could go up to 5th, but it could also just drop down to like 13th. But I think 6th, I think, is the most sort of accurate one because the not to say that like commentators like to build up hype, but they tend to usually say like, oh, this one has been doing pretty well. This one is like a big favorite in the hall. So I could see that some people might be like, okay, right, well, this could be interesting. And if they see one that they like, and then they like what they see, and then boom, it's there. I wouldn't be surprised if it came into the 6th place. And that would also be really good because it means that it provides a great start for what TAP could go on to do later on in the sort of years to come, really, because I would like to think that TAP will be sticking around, but we'll have to wait and see what the final result will be, because we thought the same thing about BMG and look how well that worked out. So who knows? Anyway, with that sort of takes us to the end of this sort of big 5 roundup. I can't believe we've reached the end of all of the second rehearsals, which means that from now on, we're all looking towards Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Oh, I am so excited. Are you guys excited? I am.
We're watching some of this. We're in. If you haven't noticed already, we're in Turin, so we're watching it here. So like,
you know,
I'm on every show, well, every jury in semi-final 1 and 2. So I'm really ecstatic and nervous.
Yeah.
I get to see Sam perform, but like
One
It's
thing
gonna
I
be
just
amazing.
Lewis and I are at the final jury show. So if Sam's going to be bringing those vocal moments, that's when he's going to bring them. And whoa.
I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I'll be stuck in my flat. I was supposed to be in Turin, unfortunately, but I do have the entire week off. I'm just excited. I've got my flags that came in the mail, so I can wave them. We're gonna go out for the
Yes.
grand final for the first time, so I'm just excited. I just want to get there. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I can't wait. I can't wait for everything. I've got a massive party planned on Saturday. So it's going to be a hot mess, but we're going to have a really good time. I can't wait to get stuck into this. I want to know results. I want to know everything. I want to be stats. Boom. Anyway, so with that, we should probably end this. So thank you so much for watching us as we kind of like go around, like, you know, making predictions. Maybe they might work, maybe they might not come true. We'll have to wait and see what happens on the night. But in the meantime, please do continue to support us over on our site, thateurovisionsite.com. Also follow us on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok now at That Euro Site. Can't believe that we're actually got a TikTok now. I never thought I'd ever have that in my life, but alas. Yeah, and be sure as well to follow our podcast as well, That Eurovision Podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And I just can't wait to get into it. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So shall we all say goodbye?
Bye.